Good to see everybody. I am just getting the stream set up. For the first few minutes, I always take the time to make sure that everything is set up and we do our social media pushes. Now, the reason that you go live and you're even going to see me instantaneously on the VOD is because people said, I don't want to sit on a waiting screen. So I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm just going to go live and you can sit here and watch me set up the stream. So if you're wondering why this stream looks a little bit unproduced, it's because that's what people seem to have asked for. Is Xbox actually dead this time is what I'm going with for the headline of the stream, because there have been so many conversations about the status of Xbox, and we're really going to get into the nitty gritty in terms of what has been happening at Xbox. But I feel like I'm going to have a clearer answer for you about whether that's true or not by the end of the stream. We're going to paint the picture of what's going on and what has been happening and sort of discuss what I think about everything. Obviously, it's been a very difficult week talking about everything that has been going on, and it's been pretty crazy. Everything that we have seen transpire over the last few days. Yeah, so here we go. We are now posting it. Let's see what we got here. I thought I just saw some breaking news about Xbox. Long story short, I do want to say that every industry has been facing this. And that's not to diminish how bad this is or how problematic or how crazy the amount of layoffs are. But this is not unique to one branch of gaming. It's everywhere. It's literally all of gaming. So it's really, really unfortunate, but that's the reality that we live in. And it is impacting everybody. It looks like all the feeds are coming up. Good to see everybody. We're going to be talking about everything that has transpired with Xbox this week. And I think we might as well start at the top. First things first, we knew this was coming. This was reported by Tom Warren. This was reported by everybody, basically, leading up to it. Tom Warren reported it. Jason Schreier reported it. Many people reported it. And now the big question that I'm seeing online is Xbox dead? Are they done? So we're going to talk a little bit about where we are at today. I'm trying to get all of my stream feeds lined up in a way that makes sense. And we might as well start with Phil Spencer's email. Here's what he said. Today, we are sharing decisions that will impact colleagues across our organization to position gaming for enduring success and allow us to focus on strategic growth areas. We will end or decrease work in certain areas of the business and follow Microsoft's lead in removing layers of management to increase agility and effectiveness. Out of respect for those impacted today, the specifics of today's notifications and any organizational shifts will be shared by your team leaders in the coming days. Now, I don't know who leaks literally everybody else all of this information, but it would be really, really nice if they also leaked it to me. So thank you. I did get a comment after Phil's thing went out, but it wasn't until after. So yeah. Hollow Raid says, can we get a fire team chat for Edge of Fate and thoughts overall about the current state of Destiny? Maybe. I don't know. So I'll figure that one out in the near future. I have to full screen this in order to read the quote. So let's get through Phil's quote. But note that they say they're following Microsoft's lead in removing layers of management. Now, there was actually a study done where they broke down actually who got fired, and it was a much smaller percentage in management than you might think. So I don't think that's actually an accurate statement that they are working to reduce layers of management. Anyway, let's continue on. I recognize that these changes come at a time when we have more players, games, and gaming hours than ever before. Our platform, hardware, and game roadmap have never looked stronger. The success we're seeing currently is based on tough decisions we've made previously. We must make choices now for continued success in future years, and a key part of that strategy is the discipline to prioritize the strongest opportunities. We will protect what is thriving and concentrate efforts on areas with the greatest potential while delivering on the expectations the company has for our business. This focused approach means we can deliver exceptional games and experiences for players for generations to come. Now, I completely understand that everybody is very, very angry and everybody is mad, and it's completely justified. They are looking to blame Satya Nadella. They're looking to blame Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond, Matt Booty, and honestly, it really falls on leadership as a whole. It's no one leader in particular that failed. It's the whole kit and caboodle, so to speak. Everybody has let down the people on their teams. But at the end of the day, unfortunately, Microsoft... Honey, is Daniel okay? He's like driving his car on my door. 1 second. He's fine. He's doing the car on the door thing. Layoffs suck. Layoffs are just something that is going to continue to happen across the industry. Anybody who's taking a victory lap right now, it's probably going to hit one of your favorite studios in the near future if your favorite studio is in the AAA sector in the Western market. I did a video this morning that went live this morning, and it was from Sneakers SO talking about how this isn't unique to Xbox. Xbox is just really big, so when they fire people, it has this catastrophic cascading effect across the industry. Perfect Dark, we have known that Perfect Dark has been in a difficult position for a long time. The game demo looked interesting, but parts of it worked, sort of, according to one person that actually was making the game for many years. And it did feel like they were finally making forward progress, but it was too little too late. That was supposed to be a quadruple A studio, and it was a studio that was directionless, and it had staff members with a fast and furious exit, if we talk about the VGC report. Everwild had a similar story. It was rebooted, twice? Now it's Rare Software, so a lot of people have a lot of fond memories of Rare and what they were able to create. But that one also doesn't really make sense. But the one that really stings is the Bethesda Softworks stoppage of Project Kestrel, which they renamed to Project Blackbird because they actually ended up wanting to call it Project Kestrel. Now, I had actually talked for many years about Project Kestrel and how I was sort of interested in it because it sounded a lot like Destiny. And now that we learned more about that game, it did sound quite interesting. We're still on Phil Spencer's letter. We haven't even talked about the impacts to the whole company. There's Forza Motorsport is getting rocked also. Forza Motorsport is basically done. Forza Horizon is going to continue on, at least for now, but we're going to get more into that later. And it's really, really unfortunate. It's really, really unfortunate. Kendrick Starr, thank you for falling for the SEO trap. I titled the stream, Is Xbox Dead? And he's complaining about my stream headline. Thanks for joining. That's the narrative that everybody has been pushing for years, that Xbox is dead, that they're falling apart, that it's not happening. So I suppose we have enough viewers now. I can answer the question that I have posed. No, they're not dead. They're going to continue on, and it's going to be brutal for a while now. It's Tommy Mate says, what does this mean for us Halo fans? We're going to get to that in a second. Michael asks, AI is the work of the devil, and it's here to do the devil's work. Everybody's going to be adapting AI. PSSR uses AI. I imagine Nintendo will use AI in some sort of capacity. But yeah, I would definitely get used to this idea of layoffs impacting the industry. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I think it's very unfortunate. But let's be honest here. Perfect Dark was in the kitchen too long. Project Blackbird, which sounds amazing, and the team that was going to release it is very competent. They have ESO. They've been tremendously successful, and I would have loved to see that game see the light of day. But they're about 10 years in. That one really stings for me personally, because that's the one that I was most excited to see, whatever it was. But who knows? Maybe it wouldn't have never lived up to expectations. And the whole thing just sort of stinks, right? As soon as I answered the question, chatters dipped. Anyway, this is what Phil said, though. So they're tremendously successful. This focused approach means we can deliver exceptional games and experiences for players for generations to come. So, like, he is forward-looking, fortunately. And somebody close to the matter did say a studio closure or stopping work on a game is a last resort. There have been games announced from companies like Double Fine. And PlayStation just had sweeping layoffs, unfortunately, also. I think that if you're looking at this and you're thinking this is going to happen in a vacuum, I think the news over the coming months and years is going to be just as bad, if not worse. And I don't say that with happiness or glee, and I'm not just going to be like happy about any of this happening. I'll report on it just like I have the Xbox news. But this is a significant shift, in my opinion, for what we can expect from Xbox, Microsoft Gaming, and their strategy moving forward. Interestingly, at least as of Sunday, July 6th, we have heard nothing about the hardware team being impacted at all. If anything, their hardware roadmap seems to be what they're quadrupling down on at this point. They still have 40 projects in active development. So State of Decay 3 must have been further along than they thought. And those have not been impacted. And everything showed at the recent showcase, according to a source close to the matter, that will remain in production. Variety also corroborates that. So that's where we're at with Xbox. It's going to be tough. Rare took too long with Everwild. God Emperor says, thank you for the super chat. Yeah, they did. Long story short, some of these make sense. Some of them don't. Like, some of them really, really sting. But that's why Phil Spencer makes $10 million a year. The guy literally makes $10 million a year. Like, I'm not exaggerating. So he makes that kind of money because he has the gut, the whole company, basically. I don't know. Like, I don't know why anybody makes $10 million a year. It's sort of like a crazy amount of money. But I don't know. I don't know if I could do that. Write an email like this that for the shareholders. I don't know. Chat, could you do that? If you were paid $10 million a year and you had to write this email where you address the shareholders, how would you be feeling? And I'm not looking for, to be clear, I'm not looking for sympathy for Phil. I'm saying, I don't think I could do this. I don't know that I could do that. AI wrote that. Yeah, he does have the dash in there. It's right here by my face right here. Prioritizing our opportunities is essential, but that does not lessen the significance of this moment. Simply put, we would not be where we are today without the time, energy, and creativity of those whose roles are impacted. These decisions are not a reflection of the talent, creativity, and dedication of the people involved. Our momentum is not accidental. It is the result of years of dedicated effort from our teams. HR is working directly with impacted employees to provide severance plan benefits aligned with local laws, including pay, healthcare coverage, and job placement resources to support their transition. Employees whose roles were eliminated are encouraged to explore open positions across Microsoft Gaming, where their applications will be given priority review. Just place the people in other parts of the company. Like the one thing Sony did that I appreciated was that when Bungie was sacking people, they were like, well, we'll at least try and find places for these people within the Sony org that makes sense. And then everybody else got sacked, of course. So like none of it's good, but I mean, like just saying you should apply. I mean, like, I guess. Thank you to everyone who has shaped our future, our products, and our community. We will move forward with deep appreciation and respect for all who have contributed to this journey, Phil. Now, I've seen a lot of people saying we want Phil's head on a pike, so to speak. And I'll just say this. Why? What difference would it make if Satya Nadella on a whim is going to be like, I'm going to invest $80 billion into AI? It's just going to be another person there making the same decisions. So, and Sarah Bond hasn't even been there that long comparatively to the others. Matt Booty's been there a long time. And the crazy thing is, with all of this, their game releases have actually hit a pretty reasonable cadence. Yeah, I don't think Phil's going anywhere. I don't think that necessarily addresses the problem. The problem is the games. I see a lot of people talking about Game Pass being the problem. And it's just like, well, Game Pass is kind of the one thing they got going for them. And then this new hardware initiative seems to be like what they're placing all of their bets on. So I don't know. Nobody should make 10 million a year is insane to say. I don't think I said nobody should make 10 million a year. I said, I don't understand. Like, I don't get it, but whatever. Skill Up thinks he should go. So like, okay, they fire Phil Spencer and they hire me. Like, what's Destin going to do differently? And if Satya Nadella tells me, hey, Destin, reduce your workforce by 4%, any one of you put into that position, like, if you don't do it, they're going to fire you and they're going to put somebody else there. I don't think Phil's going anywhere. I think Phil is the only reason Xbox still exists. Personally. Satya Nadella should go. Look at their stock. Like, you got to think about this as like a corporate overlord, right? That's the way Satya Nadella is thinking about it. It's like, well, maybe we can hit that $4 trillion market cap. Yeah, I'll take a $9 million cut, Microsoft. If you want to hire me, you know, if Phil's looking to retire and you want to hire Destin, I'd be willing to take like an $8 or $9 million cut to take that position. Just saying. So if you're interested, let me know. I'm obviously being facetious, but yeah. Yeah, this is business and it's ruthless and it's cold and like we're going to just see a lot more of this in the AAA space. And the crazy thing is they keep pointing to COVID, but it's like headcount has remained the same and revenues hasn't fallen that much. So yeah, so in addition to Phil Spencer's email, we have Matt Booty's. I forgot I was going to read these first. The email is going to all Microsoft Gaming. Following Phil's note, I wanted to share more about the changes to the studio's business units. We have made the decision to stop development of Perfect Dark and Everwild. Perfect Dark, both of those games should have been sent out to pasture 3 years ago, minimum 3 years ago. Perfect Dark has been a mess. It's just been a mess. And like when you have basically everybody in the announcement video gone already, it's like, just call it a day. Just call it a day, close up shop, try again. And if that's their first attempt to try and get like a new studio off the ground, don't do that again. I like personally, I don't think Xbox should try a studio like that again in the near future. I think they should figure out what to do with the studios they've purchased and acquired over the last few years. I criticized them in the Activision video not that long ago because what are you doing? You have all this revenue opportunity with your legacy library that you haven't done anything with. They finally started putting some of the Activision legacy library onto Game Pass with Warcraft 1, 2, and 3. And Call of Duty 2 also made its way there finally. So finally we're seeing momentum like a year out. And remember, I got roasted for that. You have all of these opportunities to make money, easy money, and you're squandering them. For what? Everwild? Well, now Everwild had it 7 years or however long that was in development, and now it's dead. Like, and all those people are gone probably too. Where was I? Anyway, I'm just expressing some frustration there. We have made the decision to stop development of Perfect Dark and Everwild, as well as wind down several unannounced projects across our portfolio. We'll get to that in a second. As part of this, we are closing one of our studios, The Initiative. These decisions, along with other changes across our teams, reflect a broader effort to adjust priorities and focus resources to set up our teams for greater success within a changing industry landscape. We did not make these choices lightly, as each project and team represent years of effort, imagination, and commitment. Our overall portfolio strategy is unchanged: build games that excite our players, continue to grow our biggest franchises, and create new stories, worlds, and characters. We have more than 40 projects in active development, continued momentum on titles shipping this fall, and a strong slate headed into 2026. For those directly affected, we are working closely with HR and studio leadership to provide support, including severance, career transition assistance, and where possible, opportunities to explore roles on other teams. To everyone across our studios, thank you. Your creativity and resilience continue to define who we are. I believe in the strength of our teams and the direction we're taking on the path ahead. So that was Matt Booty's statement. We've read Phil's statement, and unfortunately, that's where we are. I don't understand what Matt Booty does. Sarah Bond, she's doing something with hardware. We see things with hardware. But here's what I keep hearing time and time again about the gaming division. Oh, they're super hands off. They don't do anything. Cool. The Perfect Dark project floundered for years because they were directionless. Like I really, just for my own knowledge, I need to dig into, like, what does Matt Booty do? Because I don't get it. Sarah Bond's on hardware. They announced the ROG Ally partnership. At least that's like something to show for the work. I will say this about Matt Booty. 2025, they have released some games. We have Clockwork Revolution coming in the near future and some other titles that are coming. But like, for years, Matt Booty's been in charge of gaming, and it like, in the FTC emails, Phil Spencer is scolding all of leadership. He's like, what is going on with our content library? How come we don't have a regular cadence of releases? And like, that's Matt's responsibility as far as I know. So like, I understand what Sarah Bond does. Phil Spencer's like the leader. He's the one that's trying to keep the ship in shape. And Matt Booty's supposed to be ahead of games. And beyond his emails firing people, I don't hear a lot about Matt Booty. So let's continue on, because initially one of the reports we heard was that nearly 50% of Turn 10 studios are facing layoffs. Now, I believe that was from Tom Warren initially, who we heard that from. Now, I've already recorded the video. Today's video was doing well, so I'm like, I'll just have that for today's. I have a video about this whole topic, so you're getting a little bit of a sneak peek if you're watching the Sunday stream. But Forza's done. Forza Motorsport, the widely celebrated and well-reviewed racing franchise for Xbox, is basically dead. Facebook is annoying. It just closed the post that I had open. Fred Russell worked on this project, and he actually had a post. Fred Russell, sorry, said the following: Turn 10 Studios has shuttered Forza Motorsport space, and the team is no more. A very sad day for one of the best car racing video games. I love my time there. Now, Fred Russell over on LinkedIn here, he was actually the content coordinator over at Turn 10. He hasn't been there since 2016, but he is making this post and getting comments from people who worked at the company, it sounds like. Glad I got to work there in the prime regardless. So many incredible memories, says Kayla. Kayla, the studio is open to support the Horizon side, shuttered the Forza Motorsport side only. And then there's this whole thread about it where Shinobi even said, this should have been apparent the moment half the studio was gutted. I wouldn't expect any more Forza Motorsport games. Forza Motorsport's done now. I have like 200 hours in Forza Motorsport. And the last one was good. Here's what he continues in the thread. So will no more games be produced? That's terrible news. Forza Horizon will continue at this point. Fred Russell, hopefully that will open doors for those who were let go to return down the line. Maybe, but they may just sell the playground game side. And then he's just talking about engine stuff. Horizon is going to continue for now. It's just crazy to think that Forza Motorsport like didn't cut the mustard, so to speak. It's just crazy. It's just crazy to think. Now, Variety, in this specific article, Variety did clarify that everything will continue. The 40 projects that were announced are going to continue. I think that they're too far along with Fable to axe it. Like we've shown it a few times. Machine XP says Destin Forza Motorsport has not been doing the numbers it used to. Oh, I know. I posted about it. I'm like, hey, I don't think this is doing the numbers it used to. And everybody like got mad at me. Like, I think it's really important to reflect on and try and be as honest as you can with yourself about how things are really going at a company, even if you like the company, even if you think, you know, Xbox is doing whatever, doing fine or whatever. I think it's important to reflect and just say, how well is Forza Motorsport doing really? Let's look. SteamDB, Forza. People don't like it when I do this. Mixed reviews. That's the sort of sad face. 58% reviews over on Steam. It had 1,504 players the last 24-hour peak. And you can see there was a free weekend where it jumped up and it hit 3,282 during a free weekend. But otherwise, there's like sub 1,000 players playing this game. This was supposed to be a big initiative for them. I would love to see numbers for a game like Gran Turismo, but I have to imagine this is not where they wanted the franchise to be. Like not even remotely close, right? Scott Woodward says, 4 months of membership. Xbox is not dead. The video game industry is in a strange place, but 80 billion on AI is also the wrong move, in my opinion. I hear you. I hear you, Scott. Lewis says, I cannot support a company which continues to lay off staff. I will no longer buy Game Pass or games from their store from a lifelong Xbox player. Well, I also wouldn't buy anything from PlayStation or EA or any other company then, Lewis. But I hear you. I understand that you're angry and that you're frustrated. I get it. No one wants a track, only Forza. They want a free roaming Forza. I mean, you're talking about Forza Horizon. That's what Forza Horizon is. Oh, yeah. Obviously, like, I don't have a subscription to Bloomberg. It says Microsoft makes deep job cuts across Xbox division and cancels games. I believe Jason might have been the first person to break the story, and then it was elaborated on after that. But yeah, Jason was the first one. We're going to save this for later. Oop, I'm trying to organize a little bit. Now, I think this one is available to everybody, but the one project that doesn't really make sense to me is the Elder Scrolls Online team's Project Blackbird. Now, Jason talked about this in an article. It said Xbox executives were blown away by an upcoming game, then they canceled it. I don't know if I highlighted anything here. On Wednesday morning, employees at the video game maker ZeniMax Online Studios noticed something strange. The executive producer and creative director of their next big game, codenamed Blackbird, no longer had active accounts on their internal chat program Slack. Imagine you go to work and like the founder of the company's Slack's deactivated. I would be like, I'm sorry, what? So they knew. During the meeting, they got the bad news. Blackbird was being shelved indefinitely. Translation, it was canceled. Shortly afterward, the rest of the team also lost their Slack accounts. So what happened is they were in union negotiation. So Microsoft had to go to the union and just be like, hey, so we're going to fire everybody associated with this project, which, mind you, Matt Booty told us last year. I saw this in a different video. I don't have it ready, but I'm going to paraphrase here. Matt Booty said last year, when they had the layoffs last year, that team members were being put on this project. And now it's just gone. There's people impacted at Blizzard, by the way. I have seen a few staff members who were just gone at Blizzard. Basically, if you were working on Warcraft Rumble, that project's done. And Warcraft Rumble, like, I get it. Double says, there are 10 to 14-year-olds out there who've never seen Xbox be a success. Think about that. I'm Xenial, and I think Series X is my last Xbox. Done. I think a lot of people are feeling that way right now. What's the saying? There's a saying like, you're only one trailer away from changing your mind or something like that. People in chat are saying no red line. Yeah, that's exactly it. There are no more red lines. Things are going to change quite drastically for the Xbox brand, Xbox fans, and the whole gaming landscape. Despite some technical hiccups and a lengthy development cycle, the game appeared to be making good progress. Employees were stunned to see it get caught up in the bloodbath. In 2018, the company began building a team for the next project, which it gave the code name Kestrel, which I had reported on it as Kestrel, so I was a little confused. Later, the team switched the code name to Blackbird because they liked Kestrel so much they wanted to use it as the actual name. And apparently it used verticality and such. Here he describes it here. Blackbird was a third-person online looter shooter, not unlike the popular game Destiny, set within a new franchise. It had sci-fi noir aesthetic, similar to films like Blade Runner, and placed a heavy emphasis on vertical movement. Players could use abilities such as double jumping, air dashing, a grappling hook, and wall climbing to fling themselves around tall buildings like superheroes. I saw footage. Please send me footage of this thing. No one's going to do it, but I really want to just see whatever this thing was. I will never talk about it if you make me never talk about it, but I would like to talk about what I saw, and maybe it wasn't like the cat's pajamas, so to speak. Xbox executives were also blown away when they played Blackbird in March. According to people familiar with the game's development, executives had nothing but complimentary words for the project. Following that March meeting, the team began putting together a production plan that would flesh out the vertical slice and then build out more content for release. They met in March, and we're going to hear this theme again. This came out of nowhere for a lot of people. That was March, April, May, June, like 3 months and 2 days. 3 months and 2 days. It's crazy. It's just crazy. I just want to see the one line. Phil Spencer's mentioned. Did he change it? Because there was a line in here where they had to like take the controller out of Phil Spencer's hands. I don't see it. Oh, here we go. Found the line. But Blackbird's cancellation was particularly shocking because it had blown away executives at Xbox just a few months ago. During the demonstration in March, Spencer was enjoying the game so much that Matt Booty, the head of Xbox Game Studios, had to pull the controller away so they could keep the meeting going, according to two people who were in the room. Like, was it fake? Was it even real at that point? That's the one part where I'm just like, was he like hamming it up so that people were feeling better about things or something like that? I don't know. I don't know about that one. And then beyond that, Matt Fior basically said, nah, I'm done. I'm good. Thanks. Here's his farewell letter. After more than 18 years leading ZeniMax Online Studios, I'll be stepping away later this month. The studio and the Elder Scrolls Online will be in great hands under the direction of new studio head Joe Burba, along with executive producer Susan Kath and game director Rich Lambert. Together, this leadership team has spearheaded many of ESO's biggest ideas and expansions and will continue to make this game something we're all proud of. While I won't be working on the game anymore, I will be cheering you on and adding to the thousands of hours I've already spent in-game. There are many more stories to be told, adventures to be had, and I know this amazing community will carry that shared legacy and success forwards. So, yeah, that will continue. Now, the game will continue, but he basically said, I had enough. I think the rumors that they're just going to bet on, like, place big bets is smart. But it's such a contrast to what we have heard about Nintendo's strategy. Nintendo is going to make smaller scale games with a more nimble team so that they retain their staff. Kai says, thought. I'm curious about whether Xbox considered the possibility of dev synergy. My mind's on Overwatch 2. Blizzard needed help on the PvE stuff. Yep. It's why I don't agree with the whole hands-off approach situation. It just doesn't make any sense to me. D says, why is it the end of the world when Xbox has layoffs, but when Sony does it, it's not a big deal? I think people react more strongly to Microsoft having layoffs because they can say, oh, the Activision deal caused this or Game Pass caused this. But most importantly, it's because more people are impacted when Microsoft does layoffs within the gaming division, because Xbox is in third place, but I have to think that they probably employ the most people out of the companies. I don't know if that's accurate though. Let me look that up really quick. And PlayStation. I'm just going to guess. I'm just going to ask really quick. So Microsoft has 20,000 employees, 100. Sony has like 12,700 and Nintendo has 8,205. Now remember, Xbox is in third place. Xbox is in third place and they have almost twice the headcount. It's not 20,000 after cuts. Yeah, it is. It's still 20,000. Microsoft as a whole has something like 230,000 employees. It's like some insane number. So they have to figure out, I think there's going to be more layoffs. I don't know if that's going to be Xbox, only Xbox. I don't think so. I think we're going to see this at other companies. The one that's on the top of my radar is Bungie. Like, there's the number Bungie needs to hit. It's just not going to happen. And then EA the other day talking about how they think the next Battlefield's going to have 100, 100 million players or some number that doesn't even make sense. ND Irish, thank you for the $10 super chat. I do appreciate it. But let's talk about Romero Games, who was also impacted by this. We have some difficult news to share. Last night, we learned that our publisher has canceled funding for our game, along with several other unannounced projects at other studios. This was a strategic decision made at a high level within the publisher, well above our visibility or control. So you've probably heard about this. His studio is basically done. Romero Games is done. Literally before I was going live, Rebs Gaming, he likes aggregating news. Doom designer John Romero's studio, Romero Games, has closed because Microsoft pulled publisher funding for its in-development FPS. Romero Games reportedly met with Microsoft a day before the publisher pulled funding for the studio, and there was no mention of the decision that put over 100 people out of work. We had meetings with the publisher the day before this happened. There was no mention of it. We were being told we were making great progress, so this came completely out of the blue. That's crazy. You met with them the day before this happened? I got to organize a few of my tabs here. 1 second. I have a few more things from Rebs, and then we're going to move on to some other topics. But yeah, that's what we're sitting at. That's a little crazy. They met the day before they basically pulled the plug on his whole project. Now, the only source we have for this one is Jez Corden, but Hideo Kojima's OD is still in development with Xbox, at least for today. That's all that we know about that particular project. And then a lot of people were asking about what is going on with Halo. So Rebs Gaming, he's this huge Halo fan. He's been keeping up with this better than I can. I talked about it in one of the videos covering this topic. But yeah. The Engadget article says Halo Studios is working on the next mainline Halo game. Halo Studios never announced this, so I wonder if their source, former Halo Studios dev, told them. It's not a huge shock. I just wanted to point this out. Halo Studios is currently working on multiple games, including the next mainline Halo installment, and it's the steward of Halo Infinite, which is quietly spinning down. I think we all know Halo Infinite's spinning down its content cadence. The mood at the studio is tense, especially when it comes to one project that was recently in crisis, according to the developer. Here's the former Halo Studios developer's response to Phil Spencer's layoff email. I'm personally super pissed that Phil's email to us bragged about how this was the most profitable year ever for Xbox in the same breath as pulling the lever. Yeah, it's because, to be clear, everybody, Phil probably wrote that with ChatGPT. I see the dash in there, or at least he had it corrected by ChatGPT. And then he posted it, and it's for shareholders. It's not really for the employees, but like, if you could not fire a bunch of people and then talk about how great you're doing as a company, I mean, I think that would be true. But also think about it from his perspective. Every one of Phil's emails to staff leaks, every single one. And it leaks like 5 minutes after he sends it. Phil, just CC me on the emails at this point. Like, just CC like 3 press people who you know, just so that we can get it out quicker. Okay. Yeah, just add the Destin channel at gmail.com to the CC, because Tom Warren and Jason, like, everybody just has it. They just have it already. Where did you see the news about Nintendo working on smaller games? I got to dig it up. If you want me to, give me a second here. Let me see if it's on X. Here we go. So this is the only spot I found it in, but this is like from one of their investor calls. To counter rising development costs, Nintendo is going to explore making games with shorter development cycles. They are also making investments in their development teams to preserve the way they've always made games. So this is a translation. Let me see if I can just open this in a new tab. Probably gonna be the best way. Okay. I'm concerned that the improved performance of Nintendo Switch 2 will lead to higher game development costs, which in turn could result in higher software prices and ultimately a decrease in the gaming population. What measures are you considering to address this? Furukawa, recent game software development has become larger in scale and longer in duration, resulting in high development costs. The game business has always been a high-risk business, and we recognize that rising development costs are increasing that risk. Our development teams are devising various ways to maintain our traditional approach to creating games amidst the increasing scale and length of development. We believe it is important to make the necessary investments for more efficient development. We also believe it is possible to develop game software with shorter development periods that still offer consumers a sense of novelty. We see this as one potential solution to the concern about rising development costs and software prices, and we will explore it from various angles within the company. Now, I don't necessarily read that as them beefing up on staffing. Remember, Nintendo is succeeding at a level higher than PlayStation or Xbox. The next person on the list is PlayStation, and Nintendo has like 4,000 fewer employees than PlayStation. And then in third place is Microsoft, and they have how many people are at Microsoft? 21,000 versus 12,000 at Sony PlayStation. Like, PlayStation has its own problems. They haven't had their release cadence that they needed to. Death Stranding 2 is doing great. But honestly, I have so many games to play anyway. Like right now, I'm still playing through that particular title. And I'm looking forward to finishing Death Stranding 2. It'll be, I think, my third game this year that I've completed. I finished South of Midnight. I finished Doom, The Dark Ages. I liked Doom. Everybody says Doom is bad, but I like that. I like that game a lot. Double says remaking Halo for first timers on PlayStation. I think that's the project that's in trouble. Where's the future home for Xbox gamers? PC. Yeah, just my immediate reaction would be PC. Yeah, and then Claire Obscure comes along, 33 people. So like, I think the layoffs are going to continue at Xbox. And like, obviously you've been watching my content. I'm pretty upset about the whole situation. It just sucks to see people who just want to make great games just get decimated like this. It's really hard to talk. Like, I don't take a lot of joy in talking about it. I'm usually mad, but when you look at industry trends, like it's rough out there. EA just fired people working on the Star Wars games. PlayStation had numerous layoff situations. They've closed 3 studios. Ubisoft just had to merge with Tencent in order to survive. Like, if you think this is the end, it's not. All these people care. These people care about money, and they're not making enough of it for the shareholders. Line must go up. Let's go to a little bit of the lighter side of things. For some reason, like, people are mad about this, but Helldivers 2 is the first PlayStation published Xbox game. Helldivers 2 is going to be released on Xbox this August. Now, I personally am happy about this. I think this is great news. I think it's one of those titles that really makes sense to come out on Xbox. But for years, we've heard nothing that like would say this is a good idea. Oh, why would they publish on that platform? It's just so weird, man. Money, that's why. Like, you may only have an install base of like, what, 30 million users, but they have money and they're willing to spend it. So like the question is easily answered. People like money. I am very excited to see anybody who's playing. I play on PC. I have Helldivers 2 on PC, right? And I can play crossplay with PlayStation players and Xbox players. I think that's a good thing. And I think we're going to see more of this. I've seen videos of PlayStation fans who look like they're going to cry because Helldivers 2 is going to be released on Xbox? That reaction, I don't understand. I understand criticizing Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond, or Matt Booty. I understand criticizing Satya Nadella. I understand being angry about the layoffs at Microsoft. I do not understand any gamer who is mad that Helldivers 2 is releasing on Xbox. You need to get a grip. That's just a step too far. That doesn't make any sense to me. Speaking of canceled projects, Outriders 2 is one of the People Can Fly's 2 canceled projects. So we lost Outriders 2. And I forgot to bring up Anthem. But yes, I think I already streamed about Anthem. Like, I've been doing streams at night now. So if you're not subscribed yet, yeah, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell. Because I have been streaming at night. And it's been kind of working. People really dig the late night streams. So I might do more of that. I think that's been a good way for me to just talk about the news, and then I can like either VOD a video out about that or whatever. But yeah, I'll record my VOD and then I'll just go live and we can talk about it. It's been fun. Yeah, Woodpit, you've been in there, right? They've been kind of fun. It is fair to say you won't be welcoming another interview with Phil in the light of recent news. I would welcome another interview with Phil. Why would I not interview Phil Spencer again? Now, I don't know, like Phil probably knows I get pissed off when stuff like this happens. I think the angriest I have ever been is when they got rid of Hi-Fi Rush. So, of course I would interview Phil again. And I would just be like, I think the main question I have is just like, how can anyone ever trust Xbox again? Either developers or gamers? Because you showed us a trailer of Perfect Dark last year when all the noise around Perfect Dark was that it was in trouble and that the studio was in trouble. And then you just can't, you show a trailer about it and then you cancel it. Or like Everwild back in February, you're telling the Gamecast, you're like, very good to see how Everwild's coming canceled. So it's just like, it puts Xbox in a very difficult spot where I don't think any developer is going to trust them for some time. Like, you get your job there. There was one developer, I saw him post on LinkedIn. He's like, yeah, I had a good 4 months moving from Minnesota to California. Not sure what I'm going to do now. Hope I land on my feet. Like, that's crazy, man. Like, that's the reality that we're in right now. And again, on lighter news, this is like nothing. I don't know why this blew up. Neil Druckmann exits HBO series ahead of season 3. So Neil Druckmann is going to go back and work on Intergalactic as opposed to helping with Last of Us season 3. It just makes sense. Like, yeah. Now, remember, somebody said, is Xbox brain dead? They need more games. They have 40 games, 40 games in active development, everybody. 40 games in active development. So I think they have plenty of games on the way. I think they're going to be okay in that respect, but yeah. Another small story, again, I sort of talked about this one already, but Kotaku was actually sold to Kella Ops. So the 6 people who still work at Kotaku are going to keep working at Kotaku, I guess. That whole thing went through. As reported by Axios, Kotaku's editorial staff will remain at the site and more senior staff will be hired. Great. And then the last thing was the Stop Killing Games petition achieves the 1 million signature goal. This is an EU initiative that basically means people that release a game, like say Anthem, which recently had to go offline, will now need to be able to offer players a way to play that game after it's been released. You know what's really funny? I don't have a link up here, but there has been a response to the petition hitting its goal, explaining why this would be really, really bad and really difficult to pull off. And you know who wrote the letter? People responsible for selling you vaporware. So they can F right off for all I care. I want this to happen. I want to see this thing go through. I want to see it happen. So to answer the question of the stream, is Xbox dead? No. This news sucks. This news is brutal. The layoffs will continue until morale improves. We're going to see more layoffs. Remember, in the memo, they said in the coming days and weeks. But they still got a handheld on the way, at least for the time being. They have another console on the way. But the question is, what is Xbox going to look like in 10 years? I'll tell you this right now. It's going to be a lot different than the Xbox we know today, in my opinion. Is it dead? No, it's not. Will it be a lot different from today forward? Yes. That's my whole read on this whole situation. This is brutal. All of this stings. It's very frustrating. I feel for the employees who were laid off, but let's not pretend this is an isolated incident. And on that note, we're going to react to this video from Bellular Gaming, who literally made a video about PlayStation laying people off a week ago. So let's not pretend like this is an isolated incident. That only is going to happen to Microsoft. This is going to happen to all video game companies. Let's hear what Bellular had to say.
Studio just got rid of 30% of their team, and it's part of a pattern that's been over 1,000 plays.
Oh my God. It's the same story. 900 jobs in gaming. Now remember, PlayStation has about 12,000 employees, I believe. Xbox has 21,000. If PlayStation's slimming down and Xbox is slimming down and Nintendo's doing their thing with their 8,000 employees, this is not the end. So if you're taking a victory lap, it's going to get worse. It might be Xbox again. Who knows? It might be maybe Nintendo. I doubt it. But I do think we will see more layoffs at PlayStation.
PlayStation developers laid off over the last year and a half. Of course, all while the company is posting record profits. Delightful.
Oh, great point. The Microsoft layoffs recently. You have to remember that all of these companies are breaking records with their revenue. I posted this on social media. They're breaking records. Xbox and the gaming branch at Microsoft just had the best quarter ever. It doesn't matter when Satya Nadella wants to invest $80 billion into AI. It just doesn't matter. I've seen a ton of people jumping to conclusions with the layoffs, even with outlets, and talking about it as facts. Yep, that has been happening. But it's happening industry-wide. So let's not pretend this is Activision. Because you know what? Without Activision, I think Xbox would have just been shut down. I think if that deal went south, I think Xbox just would have been done. Because once they purchased Activision, they started showing profitability for the first time in years. Imagine that had fallen apart and they had to drop $4 billion to just let the deal fall apart. I think that would have been a much worse fate. Josh said Game Pass will likely meet Connect's fate. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure what's going to happen with Game Pass. Let's continue on.
Now, there is a reason why. What PlayStation are doing right now is they are quietly restructuring the studios that built their empire because as, we've kind of all noticed, things really did go off track for a bit. Now, this is obviously being framed as a good thing, to investors, but the language that we'll see today does include some really nice quotes like,
remember, this was a week before Xbox had its layoffs. I'm sure Bellular is going to be releasing a video just like this one for Xbox and the next company that does it.
Quote, strong cost controls and rigorous budget oversight. That does imply that the changes will be good for short-term investor confidence.
God, doesn't that just sound familiar? Let's bring that quote up again.
Perhaps not sight.
Strong cost controls, more rigorous budget oversight. Huh. I swear I heard that somewhere before. Prioritizing our opportunities is essential, but that does not lessen the significance of this moment. Simply put, nope, it was earlier, right? Or was it this one? This is Phil Spencer's quote about the Xbox layoffs. I recognize that these changes come at a time when we have more players, gamers, and hours than ever before. There it is, the fourth line. In future years, and a key part of the strategy is the discipline to prioritize the strongest opportunities. It's the same statement, like slightly reworded.
That does imply that the changes will be good for short-term investor confidence. Perhaps not for the developers, perhaps not for the games, perhaps not for you. Now, I'm a gamer, you're a gamer, and you know what we're like. So, my fellow gamers, come to the front of the class, it's time for a lesson. Part of this is how I went from awful sleep to fantastic. Just released their 2025 business report. It doesn't make for an exciting read, but there is important stuff in it. And here's what really matters. The longtime CEO, Jim Ryan, left a year ago, and the new leadership took over, and they're in the form of CEO and studios head Herman
We know
Hulst.
all this.
And they basically just laid out their vision of things to investors.
Oh, it's this video. So this is his video about the live stream react we did, and we roasted this video. Basically, the title of his video is, or his thumbnail is, Concord has them scared. Concord has everybody scared.
There's plenty to rip into, but also some unambiguous wins, so I'm going to do those first. Mongolian PC gamers, good news, your time has come. So Helldivers 2, Spider-Man 2, God of War Ragnarok, they are all playable on PC.
They dropped the requirement. This is a huge W for PlayStation. They dropped the PlayStation requirement. And if that doesn't signal to you that more PlayStation games are coming, like, I just don't even know what to tell you anymore.
In Mongolia and a few other countries as well. Basically, the whole PSN account requirement thing is gone. You know, the one that gave us all of the drama. That does make, then, PlayStation games far more available. Now, there are some caveats. Japan has got limited versions. Vietnam still bans Steam. Sanctioned territories like North Korea obviously can't play. But as for the rest of the globe, well, PlayStation games are ours to enjoy on PC. And we actually, right now, have immediate proof of why it matters. Stellar Blade just sold 1 million copies on Steam alone, right?
Bellular must be watching my videos. He's got Genki Japan on his go-to list now.
Right, that's pretty damn good. Obviously, it's a game that launched with no region locks, sales exploded, and analyst Daniel Ahmad
it did huge numbers.
Why. The PC release has got more audio dubbing options. It runs really well. It's a great port, even on lower-end hardware, and well-adjusted regional pricing. And that matters in light of this, the big number. 53% of its Steam reviews are in Chinese. So clearly, going global actually does matter. Dropping the PSN restriction is a pretty big win for a lot of the world. And with that covered, we can now dive into the major...
Okay. I just need to take my seed really quick.
Good ad timing.
Like...
I have my travel.
I don't know what this is an ad for. Anyway, yeah. What's really interesting, video audio is too low. I'll adjust it in post and turn it up. But yeah, Bellular, remember, if any of this sounds familiar, Microsoft's doing the same thing right now. Real quick shout out for applause for Buddy. And people who think the cure for Xbox is getting rid of Phil and Sarah and Matt, but no, that would mean Xbox would be open to be torn apart by Microsoft. I mean, yeah, I agree with that. What they would do is they would get rid of those 3 people, put 3 different people in their places, and the same things would take place. Like, you think the guy who just took Phil Spencer's role, who's going to make 10 million, or maybe he only makes, remember, I'm willing to take an $8 million pay cut, Phil. So if you're ever looking to retire, I still got a few years in me. Yeah, like the guy making, like, let's say he makes 5 million a year versus Phil. He's going to do the same thing. Because your boss tells you to go fire 4% or whatever. That's what you have to. And it was 4% across Microsoft. So remember, gaming was probably one of the less impacted branches of the company. And Dr. Sammy says Expedition 33 had 30 people, double that, and give each team 4 years. Xbox should release 21,000 divided by is 87 games. Yeah, well, they have 40 in the pipeline right now with that many employees. It looks like I missed one from old time. The soul of Xbox will never die. Soul Calibur. Soul Calibur, yeah. Great game. I've seen a ton of people jump to conclusion with the layoffs, even with outlets taking it as facts. Well, here's the thing about layoffs. Everybody's doing them. Let's watch this video from a week ago.
Report. More PC ports are coming. It's clear that stuff's working for them now. But Herman, the studio CEO, said that they will be, quote, thoughtful about how they do that. And there is a reason why. One of those reasons I'd say is Microsoft are kind of weak. They're dominating hardware. And ultimately, what they need is for the PlayStation hardware platform moat to stay strong. Of course, that ain't great news if you don't own a PlayStation, but I'd actually argue that a requirement to simultaneously ship on PC as well, that just increases the chances of everyone getting a bad port. You know, looking at you, Capcom, with Monster Hunter. So I think that's kind of fine. And there is a learning from it. That Sony are clearly willing to forego easy money now in favor of keeping their platform strong, I think actually...
Sorry about the audio, everybody. I'll adjust it. Huge gamer here and have all the consoles, but I built my PC 4 years ago because I seen the writing on the wall. So PC is where I've been at and where it all seems to be evolving to. I agree with you. Things are going to come to PC. PlayStation's going to do its exclusivity window. I don't think that's going to change. I think they're going to cap it at a year sooner rather than later. And I think stuff like Helldivers, it's going to come to Xbox in the future. I think that's just how they're going to do it. The reason the reaction to the Helldivers news is so bizarre to me is because Helldivers is one that makes sense to be available everywhere it can be. It's lightweight for most modern consoles and just play. Like, you can play it. It's just a great game, and more players being able to play is positive in my opinion. Anyway,
it does show a whole bunch of confidence in what they're doing. I mean, it's literally the game that Microsoft can no longer play. And here's what justifies that confidence. 5 years in, they have finally got more monthly active users on PS5 than on PS4. And to enthusiasts like myself, that's insane. I cannot imagine playing like a 2012, whatever it is, base edition console where everything is 10 pixels at 3 frames a second. Okay, it's a bit absurd, but you get my point. But no, that old audience base was huge. So
yeah, and remember this. These layoffs at Xbox, at PlayStation, it's at a time when these companies have record-breaking revenue, and in PlayStation's case, a healthy profit margin. So if you think the layoffs are done, I just want to be super clear here. We are going to continue to see layoffs for the remainder of the year. That is my belief. And I think that if you're gloating about layoffs already, you should go outside and maybe talk to somebody. But you should buckle up as well because more are coming. The line must go up.
Right now, it has ticked over. It still is close. It's somewhere between 50 and 60% of their combined 124 million monthly active users. But what really matters more to Sony is this. PS5 users spend significantly more money in things, which obviously stands to reason. They bought a PS5. Put simply, if you're a PS4 user, then you and your cohort are less likely to buy DLC or to spend money in services like PS Plus. And to really get a lot of those people to move over, PlayStation will need something truly massive and...
Imagine being...
So, does it make more sense as to why they might be releasing Helldivers on Xbox? What did Phil say in his statement again? We have more players than ever before, something. These changes come at a time when we have more players, games, and gaming hours than ever before. Our platform, hardware, and game roadmap have never looked stronger. So remember, more gaming hours than ever before means more time in each individual game, which means more opportunities to upsell them in something like Helldivers. So of course, Xbox wants their players to have access to Helldivers, and Sony wants that additional revenue. So yeah, exactly. Hey, Destin, want a $12 donation so I can pay for your YouTube premium? I am too cheap to get YouTube Premium right now. When I'm rich, I will get YouTube Premium. Spoilers, that's probably never going to happen.
Possible to ignore. I think pretty obviously GTA 6. They need something like that to convince the casuals to upgrade. And to prove just how big that PS4 market has been, like the new Call of Duty game, Black Ops 7, is still going to be shipping on a base Xbox One.
You know what? I wonder if Bellular is saying GTA 6 moving caused part of this. Could that also be true for Microsoft? Maybe both these companies really needed GTA 6 this year, and the fact that it moved caused these problems. Just a thought.
Insane. Anyway, for the hardcore people, they're on PS5, they're spending more money, and this might explain why Hulst also won't rule out a subscription price increase. That's actually because even after the price hike they did last year, they found that the highest tier of PS Plus grew 22%. And in the report...
Stop buying stuff. For the love of God, when they increase the prices, really think about if you need it or not and unsubscribe. I let my PlayStation Plus lapse. I had the top tier and I just got rid of it. I am very mindful of my subscriptions. I was getting charged for Amazon Music or something, and I called them up and I'm like, I don't use this. Why am I getting charged for this? Like people forget that they're subscribed to things, or they have like FOMO. So like even Game Pass, like whatever it is, hopefully you get Game Pass for free, like some of us.
They try to get across the idea that...
I say that because you can use reward points to get Microsoft stuff for free.
Everything now orbits PS5 and extending its reach, and everything is successful. They say that Portal was highlighted as a major success.
Yeah, it's surprising.
Doesn't make a massive amount of sense to me, but they found that it extends playtime by 30% because people play longer into the evening. There is, of course, though, PS VR. In this report, it was completely forgotten. It really does seem a bit dead in the water to me, and it's kind of funny that Microsoft's new VR attempt with...
Whoa! Rock, paper, chainsaw, thank you for the $20. Do I really need to get YouTube Premium? He said, get this man YouTube Premium. I will think about it. Take the $10 out for taxes. That leaves me enough to get Premium. I'll try it for a month, okay? I will try YouTube Premium. All right. Thank you for the $20 super chat.
Xbox is just a co-branded Meta Quest. With all that said, there's something that you and I are probably thinking at the same time, which is, yeah, okay, obviously PlayStation are way far ahead. That actually makes sense. They had good exclusives. Maybe not all the ones that you would want, but, they certainly didn't have a Microsoft-shaped situation, right? Is it their
Yeah, I mean... if he had known what would happen a week later.
Victory, or is it Microsoft's defeat? Well, one of the things we can at least say is the quality of the games, in many cases, has been damn good. We can laugh at Concord, but, ghosts existing, all of that stuff. So, for PlayStation, they live and die on video games.
Ghost of Yotei is coming, and Death Stranding 2 right now is phenomenal. I'm probably going to do... tonight, because I've done so much like newsy stuff, I think I'm just going to play Death Stranding 2 if I stream tonight. The bot like promotes the gaming channel. I'm just going to stream it over there, but if you want to check it out, phenomenal game. Absolutely phenomenal game.
That is where, that's where things get more interesting today. In the report, PlayStation positioned themselves as two things, being the best place to play and the best place to publish. Now, we've already covered the hardware story. On the software side, right? Call of Duty being primarily played in PlayStation matters to their plans.
Of
they
course.
do need first-party exclusives as well. Otherwise, what are they going to eventually port over to PC? What will they go and adapt into TV and movie projects? So, the whole single-player strategy is staying the same for them. Same developers, same model for success, where they want at least one tentpole title every year.
Fire Sprite? Didn't they close? I don't remember if Fire Sprite's still around.
On top of that, they're investing in games from Korea, China, and India. Examples like, say, Stellar Blade. But basically, the team's making like Wolverine, Ghost of Yotei, Intergalactic. They're just going to keep on doing what they're doing, trucking along. So on that front, from your perspective, nothing really changes. But from the developer perspective, things have changed, and we will get to that. Obviously, though, there's live services. We cannot ignore that. And in PlayStation's eyes, Helldivers and Concord just represent the two extremes.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's, of course, where we get to Marathon's delay. It is being carefully managed to avoid Concord's mistakes. We did a deeper dive into that. If you'd like more, it's actually fairly interesting. It's a little...
Marathon is cooked. There is no way Marathon makes even a fraction of what they need it to. The game is like, I'm a huge Bungie fan, and that game's like fine at best. And most people just bounce from it. Marathon is in for a world of hurt. I'm just going to
bit of
call that
PlayStation
now.
realizing, oh, we should probably pay attention to if the games are good or not. A shocking
Oh yeah, and Fair Games is dead. There's no way.
innovation for the big burly, important and well-compensated businessman. Anyway, PlayStation still want their two pillars: single-player games and live service games. What they're doing is picking
That's fine.
specific genre niches and trying to deliver within them. But we've learned something rather crucial here. Take a look at, say, Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls. That's a
Marvel Tokam is going to be a hit. So out of all the stuff they're betting on, Marvel Tokam, that'll be a great game. I hope it releases on everything. I think it should. So I think Marvel Tokam is going to be great. I think Marathon's going to flop. So it feels like they had this Helldivers 2 success and now they're chasing the dragon. And I think Marvel Tokam, based on the Marvel Rival success, that could be the next one. I'm actually excited for this
partnership with Marvel and Arc Systems Works. Now that as a partnership makes a lot of sense to reduce risk, but it's
It looks
backed by
really
Sony's
good.
X-Dev studio, basically to give you that Sony polished feel. Now they've also created internal teams like Team LFG and Dark Outlaw just for live service. And even the Bluepoint
Yep.
and Bend Studios cancelled projects actually fit into this pattern. I think this is where, from an audience perspective, it kind of gets interesting and honestly a little bit painfully obvious. So here's the why in Herman's words. We have reviewed our processes in light of Concord. We need to deeply understand why the title failed. We must ensure we don't make the same mistakes again.
This is bone broth. Legit
Oh,
bone,
guys,
broth
bone broth.
in a powder.
But it's in a powder. That's exciting stuff.
Damn, Herman, you took you a while, but yeah. Now, this, of course, is...
Just real quick. I just saw the super chats. Junior says, here's $15 US, more YouTube premium to you, Destin. Thanks for the photo op at SGF. No problem, Junior. Brett says, here's for the next month of YouTube premium. This is this going to be my new strat for getting super chats? Just never get YouTube premium. I promise you I'll try it for a month, okay? I promise you. I don't do a ton of reacts, but yeah, thank you for backing my YouTube premium goals.
all coming as they're talking about Marathon's testing, which, for investor confidence, is a really important thing.
It
Because they
was
get
bad.
two big misses that sort of are in the similar like genre, similar feel, then that will just make people think, oh shit, they don't know what they're doing. Leadership have lost the plot. And that's the narrative they're overtly trying to counter. I mean, when they talk about the Marathon testing, they said, quote, some feedback has been varied, which in corporate speak basically means shit. We need to put a lot more work into this. He's just never going to say it
Yeah.
like that. But basically, it's going to be constant testing, iteration, more testing. That's how they're framing all of this stuff. It does actually make sense. It is what is best for investor confidence. Also, for players, because funnily enough, the game has to be good, broad strokes, for both the investors and the players to actually be happy.
I'm really curious how this game's going to do at launch. Like, I don't think Marathon's going to be a Concord level disaster, but I think it's going to be pretty bad. Like, in terms of what they were hoping for versus what they're going to get, there's no way it does what it needs to for them to be happy. That's just my read on it.
Now, what that's led to then is a lot of PlayStation-led changes to how developers work. And this is all part of the wider, but more subtle shift since Jim Ryan left. What does all this fluff actually mean? Well, basically, Sony won't let another Concord reach the public without central leadership. That's the important thing.
I think that's very true. I think that's why Herman Holst was segmented off and why the leadership was split. That's a really, really good read. THX says YouTube Premier L Light tier, $7.99 a month. No ads, no music. Thank you, THX. I do appreciate it. 78 says, with everything going on, what if Microsoft sold the Xbox brand to Sega and helped them back into the console business? Thoughts? Sega is very interested in winning back the hearts of people, but I don't know about that one. I'd have to think about that one more. Thank you for the super chats, everybody.
More of a say in the matter. That means fewer risks, that means fewer surprises, and it's an ideology that is spreading company-wide. Outsourcing, co-development partners, top-down portfolio management, it is all implying more business control over developer plans, which in so...
Yep, and that means more layoffs. You heard what Bellular said. It's going to mean more layoffs and more control about what's going to get greenlit and what's not. And I do think I think there was just such a mismatch in terms of what they should have been focusing on and what they focused on. And now it's going to take a few years and more layoffs, unfortunately. But I think eventually, hopefully we get to a happier place than we are right now, because, you know, Sony just went through layoffs and Microsoft went through layoffs, and hopefully we got a little bit of a breather, honestly.
Many ways can sound awful, but we do have a lot of examples of developers, well, going nowhere fast, and that leading to loads of problems. And ultimately, some of the slop that we get is because
this is
something
Redfall.
is shot out the door in 18 months to please management. But maybe you could argue that if management was more involved, more intelligent, and more understanding of development earlier on in the project, then maybe those two sides would be able to work together more harmoniously, and maybe we'd have, like, vaguely sane projects. I don't know. What it also means, though, is avoiding another 2023. That was a notable year because they only had MLB and Spider-Man 2. And I say only because they want one tentpole game per year, which they did get that year, but they want more, not just, say, MLB. What they need is a pipeline that's delivering consistently. And that's actually where we can look at Xbox. Because for all of their faults, they are publishing...
This was a week ago, keep in mind, so give him a little bit of credit. But he's giving Xbox credit here. He's like, you know, for all their faults, Xbox, let's hear what else he has to say. But you know what? I do got to say, Xbox has finally hit a release cadence. So and they have interesting hardware, and they're tearing down the barriers. Like, it's really a bummer that everything that has happened just is such a sour note. But let's hear what he said a week ago.
First party games pretty goddamn constantly, and most of them are topping PlayStation sales charts. But it's very much the case that PlayStation's framing is one of, now we are being more involved, more informed, and we're not just piling lots of money into developers purely in hopes and dreams. It is essentially painting a picture of decisions under Jim Ryan's leadership being not particularly smart, not particularly cost-controlled, not particularly responsible, which obviously has led to, well, I'd say countless, but no, it is actually countable, but let's just say a shitload of live service games that have, of course, been cancelled. So whenever...
And that means jobs. So, like I said, my main issues with PlayStation were with Jim Ryan. And Jim Ryan's gone. So I don't really have any person that I can look to in PlayStation right now and say, I don't like what that person's saying. I don't like the strategies they're implementing. I think PlayStation's doing quite well. I think Xbox is doing some interesting things. It's just, they're going to fire a bunch of people. And nobody likes it when leadership fires a bunch of people. Nobody. They don't like it when, I mean, if you're a sane person, nobody likes it when PlayStation does it. Nobody likes it when Xbox does it, because it means that you failed as a leader. You either overhired, or you placed the wrong bets, or you're not making enough money. The crazy thing is, though, in both PlayStation's case and Xbox's case, I don't know necessarily that either of them failed as a leader, because the last quarter, gaming broke records. And PlayStation's last quarter, they broke records. It's not enough. You are doing great. Everything at Xbox is doing great. Please pack your things. That's the thing that I just can't wrap my brain around. That both PlayStation and Xbox are seeing such success. And instead of like repurposing talent into areas where they could be more effective, they just fire like thousands of people are losing their job across both. Bob Joe, thank you for the headline idea.
Hull says this.
Ooh, what is this? Apple Vision Pro. I'm sure that's going to take
He's
off.
basically saying that the prior management, that the prior strategy was the opposite of this. So here are his words. Strong cost controls, more rigorous budget oversight, an evolved portfolio framework for informed choices, balancing profit potential with associated risks. That's what he says.
Does that sound familiar? Let's bring up Phil's quote again. This is Matt Booty's. This one, Phil's. Let's bring it up one more time. I recognize that these changes come at a time when we have more players, games, and gaming hours than ever before. Our platform, hardware, and game roadmap have never looked stronger. The success we're seeing currently is based on tough decisions we've made previously. We must make choices now for continued success in future years, and a key part of that strategy is the discipline to prioritize the strongest opportunities. We will protect what is thriving and concentrate efforts on areas with the greatest potential while delivering on the expectations the company has for our business. They are two sides of the same coin, and if you are betting that one side of that coin is better than the other, it's going to come for you too, because eventually that heads or tails game, it's going to land on your side. That's all I'm saying about these layoffs and everything. Like literally, we're hearing the PlayStation statement. We're reading Phil's statement. It's the same statement. It's the same.
He's going to start doing. That's what he's basically accusing the prior era of. If you want to see some of that corporate doublespeak in action, here's one example. Ben Studio and their 30% layoffs. Their live service game was cancelled after
30%, around 40 people. That's basically what happened to the Forza team. Maybe a little bit fewer staff members impacted, but it's just like, what are they going to do now?
went through the new oversight processes. Now they've got something new spinning up, but clearly a decision was taken that even though they've got something new spinning up, they're still going to make those cost reductions and get rid of that headcount while the new thing is spinning up. That does mean that they're losing talent, but it also means they're controlling cost. And whenever he says strong cost controls, that's basically what he means. Question for you and me, though, is whether the experience that they lose by focusing so much on the cost control is in the long run worth the money that they're saving. Putting it all
Strong cost controls to me means more layoffs in the future. And Xbox is saying the same thing, so it's going to get worse. I mean, I just want people to be prepared, honestly. Like, I think we're going to see more layoffs in the industry. Like, this isn't going to be a one and done thing. And I think Xbox will have more layoffs, and I think PlayStation will also. Sicko says, do you anticipate Phil will be made to walk the plank as part of publicity to mend the brand's reputation? I mean, does Microsoft really need him or Booty or Bond to franchise Game Pass any further? No, they're not going to get rid of Phil. I really think they won't, because hypothetically they get rid of Phil. Maybe people are happy, maybe they're not. Who's going to take his place? Satya? You think Satya Nadella, the guy who just dropped 80 billion and told Phil you got to cut costs, fire a bunch of people? I don't know about that. No one likes it when people are fired, but top brass stays, cashing bonuses for doing a lousy job. I hear you, Junior Parallax. Carlos says not having YouTube Premium is insane. Here's to support the cause. Also, Xbox, please stop firing so many devs. It's crazy. Love from Honduras. Thank you so much. I promise y'all, I will try YouTube Premium. I promise.
Together then, we've got a new model for how we believe PlayStation to actually run in the future. So as we look at everything that will happen, this is what we'll be thinking. PlayStation leadership plans to get more from less. Tighter portfolio control, stricter development processes, more outsourcing, more control of fixed costs, less leniency whenever developers miss targets. And we did see hints of this after the Insomniac hack, where senior leadership discussed making PlayStation mandated cuts with their development plans. But now it seems that everyone at PlayStation may face this throughout all development. As much as, listening to my own words earlier on in this video, you can see a lot of sense in what Herman is saying, what he's trying to project about the failures of the past and how they're going to be different now. If that basically
just remember, Bellier said it makes sense when Sony is firing all these people. Maybe next stream I'll watch the stream and see what he says about Xbox. Maybe he'll say it makes sense why Xbox is firing all these people too. Because that is something that we see, unfortunately, a little bit too often. Destin, get YouTube Premium. It is life-changing. I'll think about it.
Means the finance department is looming over every decision. Well, we've seen that go bad. We've seen that erode the magic, the sort of magic that has actually led to some of the best games ever, the sorts of games that, put PlayStation on the map with their modern software. But what they're now expecting is that same caliber of software, but one per year for those big tentpoles with the live services, more games, more often, more successes, less failures. And they think that a firmer hand on the wheel is what's going to deliver that for them. But as to whether it will work, that is very obviously the question that every PlayStation fan should be asking. And as we proceed into the new console generation, you do wonder if Microsoft, once they have more of their act together, now that they have so many studios, if they'll be in a position where they have loads of fan-favorite games, but not...
Well, about that, Bellular. Remember, this is a week ago. So about Microsoft having all these fan favorite games. Well, they just canceled their best bet with the ESO game. But we know that Insomniac spent more than ever before on Spider-Man 2, and that the Spider-Man Miles Morales content had the same profit margin. So I say give me more Miles Morales. I think at the $70 price point anyway, I think that's reasonable. There's enough content there to warrant the price. It looked really, really slick, but I don't think that Sony needs to make more Concords, so to speak. I will be curious to see how that ends up adjusting. The Pew says, you keep saying it's not just Xbox, but nobody else had 4 rounds of sweeping layoffs and closures in an 18-month span. Measures of magnitude. Yeah, you're right. PlayStation had 5. Good call. Yeah, PlayStation had 5 rounds of layoffs in the last 2 years? So yeah, good point, Pews. I do appreciate you pointing that out. The problem is Microsoft's headcount is 21,000, but they're in 3rd place. PlayStation's headcount is 12,000. They're in 2nd place by a wide margin. And Nintendo is in 1st place with the lowest headcount.
The console install base, and a position where on the software front, Sony may look a little bit weaker, but of course, with the hardware install base. Let me know what you're thinking, and look, if you want a video that's honestly a little bit more entertaining,
right about
because
the
it is
hardware.
pretty damn juicy. 2 studios, layoffs just after their games came out. You can
Yeah, and you hear what Bellular's talking about? Studios with layoffs.
watch it next. It's pretty fun.
So like, this is not happening in a vacuum. And that's the only point that I'm really trying to make. That these layoffs are happening industry wide. They're not done. It's going to get worse. Buckle up. None of this is fun, but it's what's happening. And we're going to continue talking about it here on the channel. So the Pews, this isn't about like who's the biggest bad guy. What happened with Microsoft is terrible. It's awful. I hate it. I do hope that Bill Spencer, Sarah Bond, and Matt Booty lose their bonuses for the year. But keep in mind, all of this is happening, and Sony is reporting record-breaking profits, and Microsoft is touting a record-breaking quarter for the gaming business. So it's all bullshit, and the layoffs will continue until morale improves. So buckle up. Like, I have no say in it. I'm just the guy that comes here on YouTube and talks to you about what is happening. Sometimes I give my personal opinion on it. Who has had more layoffs in the last 2 years? Xbox or PlayStation? I'm just sort of curious. I'm going to ask ChatGPT, which is never wrong. PlayStation had about 1,260. Xbox has had 2,850. Total headcount 21,000 versus 12,000. That is, what is that percentage wise? What is that percentage wise versus headcount? I bet it's comparable percentage wise. Yeah, so PlayStation has reduced an estimated 7 to 9%. Xbox has reduced by an estimated 14% over 2 years. It's a lot. None of it's good. I don't even know why I'm humoring this conversation, because it's not like I think good, yay, Xbox, you fired a bunch. Like, nobody's saying that. Nobody likes that. Nobody likes it when PlayStation does it. Nobody likes it when Xbox does it either. I'm going to post in the YouTube chat a link to this really quick. This is Bellular Gaming. He pops up in my feed every once in a while, and that's his take on the PlayStation layoffs, which happened a week ago, and the other 2 hours of the stream were all about, or the other hour and a half of the stream was basically about the recent Xbox layoffs and Xbox news. That's all I have for you today. I'm going to go to the beach. I'm going to go do something else for a while with the kiddos. Streamed a little bit late today. I had the video come out today. Big shout out to Surfshark for sponsoring. Thank you so much. It is nice to start getting sponsors. And then I have a video coming out tomorrow, already shot. That will come out. And I hope you enjoyed the live stream today. Thank you so much. We had 900,000 concurrents. And the goal of the stream today was to answer the question that everybody is putting out there on social media. Is Xbox dead? No. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you liked the stream. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell to know when my content goes live. I do greatly appreciate you hanging out and watching along with me. A huge shout out and special thanks to the members, especially Christopher Eddy, Filaroni, Spingeter, and Aries EMS, who back at the top level. But that does not diminish how many people help me do this independently. I do greatly appreciate all of you. If you want to support my independent endeavors, you can do so at patreon.com/SaveStatePlus or by simply becoming a member here on YouTube. Thanks for watching. Before I let you go, you want to see more about all of this layoff news, you can check out my latest video on the topic right here, and I'll see you for the next one. But bye for now, everybody. That was just for the bod, but thank you, everybody. So Pews, yeah, we broke it down, but long story short, it doesn't matter. All of it stinks. I do hope you all have a great weekend, and I will see you for the next one. I'll see you next week. All right. Bye for now.